Hey guys, Sam here from Chalice and Chains. Just wanted to do a video today talking about how you can, as a player, bring a more dynamic role-playing experience to your character, primarily in a one-shot, but I feel like this can also be applied to campaign play as well. So something that I do when I am playing a character in a one-shot is I really try to think about two things. The first thing I try to think about is, why is this character an adventurer, right? Because typically in most games that we're playing, whether they are, typical sort of fantasy, you're out slaying monsters, gathering treasure, whatever, or it's a sci-fi thing where maybe, you're fighting for, the galactic, rebels or whatever, trying to, make a better galaxy, or maybe you're galactic treasure hunters, whatever it might be, right? Most of the time in an RPG, we are playing characters who are not tied to one location or person or whatever, right? They are off out doing things in the world, in the galaxy, on more than just okay, but I got to be home by 5 to pick, or by 3 to pick up the kids from school, kind of thing, right? Now, very occasionally you might have that, the superhero who's also a mom who, has to fight crime and save the world, but has to still be there to pick up her kids from school at 3, that whole thing, whatever. That's cool, but that's not the typical experience in an RPG. So I'm going to focus mostly on fantasy RPGs, primarily something like Dungeons and Dragons, right? So how do you make that dynamic character? Well, so again, first thing, why are they an adventurer? Not what is their background, right? We don't need tons of background material. That explains what happened to them in the past, but why are they right now deciding to go out and become adventurers? Okay. Now, obviously, your background is important. That informs maybe why they don't have any ties, or maybe why they do have ties, to people. But what is their motivation? Okay, what is it that they want to accomplish right now? So for some people, that might be vengeance. For some people, that might be the thrill of adventure. For some people, that might be I want to get rich. Whatever it is, try to think about that and why your character does what they do. Okay. Now that's important, and some people might say that that's the most important thing, and I think it is, but for me, what I find is that where I have the most enjoyment as a player in a role-playing game is when I'm interacting in a role-play moment with the other characters, and we're bringing out those characters' personalities together and seeing how they work. So this is what I would suggest that you do. This is the second tip to kind of help bring that dynamic character. And it's, for lack of a better word, latch on to another character in the story, and help sort of highlight that character through your own character's role play and action. Okay. So maybe you find something in that other character that you either can assist with or you can empathize with, or maybe you find something in that other character that you dislike and it causes friction, right? Now you got to be careful with that. You have to have the right players and everything, but that can bring a really dynamic character if done right. So for example, you're playing a character that is, let's say, a cleric, okay, or a paladin, some sort of holy man or a holy woman. And let's say you've chosen to really play up the idea that you are the champion of your deity, and that you want to spread the word of your deity to everyone else, and that you believe that your power, your divine power, is granted to you because you're proselytizing, but also because you are fighting in the name of your deity, that you are trying to protect the people, spread the word, whatever. Okay. On the other hand, you have, let's say it's a bard, right? And the bard is let's just, for the sake of argument, let's say that the bard is an atheist. They don't believe in the gods, right? They have magic, but their magic comes from sort of natural forces. At least that's what they believe. Their magic comes through song and through speaking and through music, through their own actions, or from sort of some natural phenomena not granted to them by the gods, and certainly not learned out of any kind of spell book. And so maybe they are just sort of antagonistic to you and your beliefs, right? Especially if you're trying to proselytize. The way that you interact with that character, especially because they're part of your party and you need to work with them, are the moments where you can really bring that dynamic role-playing experience, right? Now, you got to be careful, because depending on the player who's playing that bard, they may not take well to challenges, for example. They might not like it that you maybe are antagonistic to them, that you challenge them and their beliefs, that you, whatever, But what you could do is something along the lines of, like, when you're praying at the end of the day, or let's say you have an opportunity where you can turn undead, right? And you are, you are in a situation where, it's pretty fraught, pretty tense. Maybe what you do is you go to the bard and you say, something along the lines of, like, I've been praying, and, I know that my God will provide me with the power that I need, but I'll be honest with you, I am frightened in this moment, and I could use your inspiration, because this is something that you're very good at. You seem to be able to really inspire us, and that would be very helpful. Is that something that you can do? Right? And you highlight that bard character, right? And you say, listen, you've got a gift, you've got a talent, and although I believe that my deity will provide me with what I need, I also would like your help. Could you do that? Right? And then that makes the bard feel special, right? You've cued in on them, you've put the spotlight on them. Now they are doing something to try to help feel special. And then if you succeed in turning your undead, role play that out, right? Where you feel the divine, power surge through you, and you hold out your holy symbol, and you let out some sort of catechism, or some sort of, words of power that channel that divine energy, and you turn those undead. And during the whole thing, you've got, in the background, this beautiful music or singing or a story or something happening that's really inspiring you, and it creates this amazing sort of, image, like if you were seeing it on screen. Okay, there's a perfect opportunity to take a character interaction with a character that you might not get along with, but to highlight them, to spotlight them, and to make a really cool scene. So think about that. Oh, and then a third thing I'll mention really quick is try to describe things as if it was a movie and you were seeing it on screen, right? Taking into account those first two things that I mentioned, right? What is your motivation? Play up to your motivation and be consistent with that. Spotlight another character and highlight another character to help work together. Or if you know the player and you know their character, and you know that you guys can have a bit of a rivalry, do that. That can be really fun too. Just don't take it overboard, right? So anyway, I hope those are helpful tips. I know that this is something that I really try to do. I feel that I do a good job of it in bringing out a dynamic character in a one-shot especially. But, I'd love to see what you guys do, what your tips are, what you think works well, what doesn't work well, and all that. So look forward to hearing your thoughts. Happy gaming.